Alright. So the time has come, and I watched Soul Survivors again. Now, anyone who's watched any of the previous videos where I mentioned this movie knows that I'm not a fan. I was kind of dreading watching this one again, but I'll be honest, like, it was still not good, but it wasn't as bad as I had built it up to be, which is good. So anyway, let's just get into it and get this over with. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie and you want to, don't. That's really bright. Don't watch this, and yeah, you know the drill. So, alright, so we got a nice group of teens here. Starts off with this girl, Cassie. She's at a party or something, and she leaves. And she's immediately jumped by some people who hold her down and cut her wrists. And then that's the last we see of it. And then it jumps to another scene completely where she's fine. So I don't know what the point of that scene was, but anyway, it was there. And that's our intro to the movie. So it's a lovely story of Cassie and her four amigos. So we've got Matt, who I believe she used to date, but he's going to a different school, so they broke up because they knew it wouldn't work out, whatever, and there's some animosity there. But she's dating this other guy, Sean, who is being kind of a dick to Matt about it. Like, Matt obviously still cares about her and stuff, and he's like, yeah, she's not your girlfriend anymore, and stuff like that. So that's fun. And then we have Annabelle, who is now dating Matt, but Matt's still into Cassie, and it's the whole thing. Anyway, they're off to go to college, so I guess all of them are going to the same college except for Matt, I guess. I don't really know. But yeah, they go to college, and they get there after dark, and they go to some college dorm party, and it's like really kind of bunk. No one's vibing it. Then one of them, I can't remember who, says that they heard of a new club that's just out of town or something. It's like a moving club or something like that. And so they want to go to that. And everyone's like, all right, it's better. It's going to be better than this, right? So they go, and it ends up being this abandoned building in the middle of, I don't know where, the outskirts of town maybe. I think it's an old church or something, or an old cathedral or whatever. But yeah, it's like a rave or whatever in there. And there's a bunch of people dancing and all that kind of stuff. So obviously Cassie and Annabelle, or Annie, she's called both in the movie. I'm going to call her Annie because it'll be faster. So Cassie and Annie are dancing, and these two guys, one guy wearing like kind of like a clear mask that sort of hides his features, another guy in a jean jacket or jean vest, are like looking at them dancing and being all pervy and whatnot. And then it cuts to her having a moment essentially with Sean, where they're making out and on like a tombstone or something, and they're all getting hot and heavy and whatnot. Like, she's obviously completely over Matt. Like, that's like, I don't know how recent that breakup was, but anyway, it's not recent enough for it to affect her very much, apparently. Anyway, Matt's still into her, but he catches that, and he's like, oh god, and he's watching them, and finally it gets to the point where it's too much, and he like coughs and makes himself known and pretends that he's drunk, and they're like, okay, and they're about to leave, and Sean's like, okay, I'll go get Annabelle or whatever, or Annie or whatever we want to call her. So he runs off, and then Matt and Cassie have a little moment where he's like, man, I, still have feelers, whatever, and, I need like a goodbye kiss to like, for closure or something, and she's like not into it, but I guess she eventually caves and they have a little kiss. Lo and behold, back door opens and Annie jumps in completely oblivious to her partner and his ex making out in the front seat because it interrupts them, and she's like, be ready to go and whatever. But Sean sees it. Yeah, so that's good. He sees it, and there's like some drama, and he jumps in the front seat and they head off, and Annie's not an idiot. She's picking up on the vibe. She's like, what's going on, guys? Like, excuse me. What's going on? Like, something's up. What's the drama? And anyway, so Matt distracts her by making out with her or some shit. And anyway, I guess it's neither here or there, but there's some stuff going on there. Anyway, they're driving back, and a car passes, and inside the car is the guy in the jean vest and the guy wearing the mask and some girl in the front who we will be known to be called as Raven in the movie. We'd be known to be called? What am I talking about? Anyway, whatever. English, right? Yeah, so they drive past them and then they like swerve. I guess they're drunk maybe or something. But anyway, there's a collision. And the two cars collide and they go off the edge of the railing. There's like a cliff or something and the car flips upside down and cuts to a hospital, and then cuts to another scene right after that of like Sean's funeral. So Sean died, right? So that's fun. Sean's dead, everyone else survived. Hooray. Anyway, she has a dream where she sees Sean and she's in her apartment and whatnot, and she's woken up by Annabelle. By the way, it sounds like I'm jumping around like crazy, but like the scene-to-scene transition is really bad in this, so this is pretty accurate. It goes from like the funeral to, I think there's like a brief thing of her in school that's like inconsequential essentially. But yeah, then it cuts to her apartment and her dreaming of Sean, and she wakes up to a knock on the door and it's Annabelle, and she's like, "You ready to go? Ready to go where? To the club, don't you remember we're going tonight?" And she's like, "I don't know." And then this girl knocks on the door and comes in, and Annie's just like, "Yeah, this is my friend Raven. You know, we're waiting. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and we'll head her." So she goes to the bathroom and she ends up like rummaging through Cassie's pills and like popping her like painkillers or antidepressants or whatever she's on from the accident. So that's lovely. Good friend. And then Raven's like, "Who's this?" Like all fucking heartless about Sean. She's like, "Yeah, that was my boyfriend. He died." And I can't remember exactly what she says. I literally just watched it, so go figure. But I can't remember what she says. But she has something that's like, "You're in trouble" or something along those lines of, you know, regarding Sean and the accident and all that stuff. And she's like weirded out. Anyway, she doesn't join them to the club. I don't know why they call it a club. It's literally like an abandoned building, but whatever. Anyway, she doesn't join them. So Annie and Raven go without her or whatever. There's like a scene where she's see, I can't remember the order of this because it doesn't flow very well. Like, there's a scene of her swimming where the masked guy like tries to drown her and then he doesn't and he's not there. And then there's a scene where she's chased down an alleyway by the jean vest guy and then it's not there. And then she meets this pastor who is played by Luke Wilson, and he introduces himself and seems kind of inconsequential at the time. He becomes purposeful later, but anyway. It's just all over the place of like, there's a random scene of them, like, the three of them, like Cass, Annie, and Matt painting like a wall somewhere, like bricks, and they like put paint all over each other and some stupid crap like that. And then there's a nice little scene of Annie and Cassie having a shower cleaning the paint off, clothed. So don't get too excited. Anyway, there's that, and then like the drain coughs blood up onto Cassie or something, and she starts screaming, and Annie runs over. What's wrong? There's no blood anywhere. So she's just like having visions of stuff, or like her brain is knocked around from the accident maybe. That's what's implied anyway. There's another scene where she's in a library looking up stuff about like brain damage and whatnot. I guess she assumes at that point there's issues with her brain. So there's like a brain tumor book open, and then she hears like moaning, and she like sneaks through and looks through one of the shelves, and there's Annie and this Raven girl making out, and Raven's all shirt gone and whatever, and they're getting into it, and they make eye contact, and Annie smiles and they run off. Anyway, she also sees Matt talking to the jean vest guy at some point later on. She has a swim team and swim championship or whatever for school, I guess. And she sees Sean there, and then she looks up and there's Annie and Matt cheering her on. So I guess whatever, you know. Oh yeah, there was a scene too where I feel bad for Annie a little bit. She gets screwed over a lot in this movie because she's like, okay, let's go to the club, blah, blah. Yeah, she's a club head. She has pills. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, there's a scene where Cassie and Matt and her are chilling, and she's like ready to go, and then Cassie's like, I'm staying in, and Matt's like, I'm staying in too, and she's looking at them, like, knowing their history. And don't forget, she's like dating this Matt guy or seeing him or whatever, so she's obviously not impressed. So she takes off, and anyway, Cassie has a sex dream with Sean and wakes up, and I guess the sex dream had manifested into reality because Matt's there in the bed beside her naked, and like nothing happened. She's like, please tell me we didn't. He's like, you don't remember? Of course, lo and behold, that's when Annabelle shows up. Knock, knock, knock. Enters, sees them both there in their skivvies, and obviously is not impressed. Storms out. Matt chased her. They're arguing in the hallway, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's when after that is the swim team thing, and they're cheering for her together like nothing happened. So it's kind of like, were you not just like seeing him and her cheating on you, and now you're cheering her on with him while she's doing her swim thing? I don't know. Again, it's kind of all over the place here. What else? Yeah, so there's another thing where she goes to meets the priest guy and is talking to him and is like, listen, here's the story. I lost my boyfriend. I feel lost, whatever. I feel like he's still here sometimes. He's like, maybe he still is. And it's all like, listen, you rest here. There's a bed in the church she sleeps in. And he gives her like a little St. Jude necklace thing. He's like, this is my namesake, basically, because his name's Jude. Anyway, she wakes up and Jude's gone, and she sees another priest in the office. She's like, hi, I'm looking for Father Jude. Is he around? And the priest is like, yeah, he died in 1981. You know that, right? Like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm mistaken. There's another priest. And he's like, listen, are you from our parish? And he puts his hand down her shirt randomly, and she's obviously like, okay, no, and takes off. So, creepy, pervy priest. Yeah, she takes off, and she sees like all these posters, and she recognizes the faces. There's like, I think she's on it, Annie's on one of them, the boys, the jean vest guy, Raven. So apparently like all of them are missing. Then she sees Annie's body lying, and a bunch of like a dozen cops around her, and Annie turns and it's like, that's her, whispers to the cops, and the cops all like go after her, and then it's a whole other scene. It's just like, I feel like they had an idea with this movie, and well, anyway, we'll get into that later. Anyway, long story short, I guess she's like in limbo and all of her friends died or something, because it shows her in the hospital again and the surgery's going on, and one of the surgeons says something that like one of her teachers said, so like I guess she's like living two realities at the same time or something. I don't really know. It's a mess. Like, this is not doing it justice, but it also isn't doing it that much injustice either. So like, she has her moment with Sean, and her parents are crying, and she sees the body of the jean vest guy, like he's dead. She sees Annie, she's dead. I think Matt's dead too. I can't even remember. She has a little moment with Raven, who like holds her hand and says, listen, it's gonna be okay, whatever. And it's like, all right, I guess. And then they pull the blanket over Raven's head, so she's dead. And I guess Cassie lives, because there's a scene of her and Sean having a moment. So I suppose Sean lived too, or is he a ghost? Like, I don't know. Anyway, the last scene in the movie is her in a wheelchair, and orderlies, she's like, can you help me put this necklace on? It's like her St. Jude one, and they pull it around her neck and start choking her, and then they show like, oh yeah, there's another scene too where the operating guy was, you know, the priest that reached down her shirt. It was a priest reading her last rites or whatever, reaching in her shirt to see if she's Christian or not. Not in a pervy way, just like literally, I see you have a necklace, it's a cross, so he reads her last rites. So is she dead? I don't know. She tells Sean she loves him, and then yeah, the wheelchair scene with the orderlies, and one of the orderlies is the mask guy and one's the jean jacket guy, and then she wakes up in a cold sweat, And there's Sean beside her in a bed. She has her hair cut, so I guess it's implied that it's in the future and they're together and she lived. And Sean's like, did you have that dream again? She's like, yeah. And then that's it. And then the credits roll. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. Like I was trying to say earlier, I think they had an idea that was kind of neat, and they just didn't know how to make it an actual movie, because I guess the whole am I dead or am I not dead thing could be pretty neat in that sense. Like, are my friends actually dead, or are they alive? Am I dead and they're alive, or are they dead and I'm alive? Which person is alive, which person's dead? The operating room mimicking things that she thought had happened in her post-crash life that was not a thing, like the teacher saying that whatever the doctor said, and then like the hand down the shirt of the priest guy, and it's just too all over the place. Like, I've seen it probably 5 times now. I'm ashamed to admit it. And I'm still not exactly sure what the hell was going on with some of the jump scenes. It's hard to follow. Maybe I'm just stupid, though. That could also be a thing. Like, I might be an idiot. So there's that. But it's just all over the place. I'll be honest. The main reason I saw it originally when it first came out... Well, not when it first came out. So I'd seen Buffy and I had seen Wrong Turn at that point, and then I heard about this movie that I think it came out before Wrong Turn, so I was like, oh, I gotta check that out. That has Eliza Dushku in it as well, and she's, I like her, she's good. I liked her in Buffy, she was good in Wrong Turn, so let's check her out. Now, I feel for Eliza, because the girl can act. She can. A lot of people give her shit, and she's just one of those actresses that gets stuck with really bad movies. And in all of the, like, a lot of reviews of, like, this movie and other movies, too, that I'll probably watch at some point, they just rip her apart and say, oh, yeah, she can't act for shit. And these people, you gotta understand, look at the script. Look at what she's given. Like, when she's given a good script, she can act. Like, the scene that I think showcases her ability to act the most is in, I can't remember what season of Angel it is, but it's, like, Angel's the Buffy spinoff, if you don't know. Obviously, you probably would know that. But anyway, there's a scene where she comes back and she's like bad girl or whatever, and she is hired by this law firm. Now I'm doing a review of Angel. But anyway, she breaks down and basically is trying to kill Angel, but then bursts into tears and basically just like is begging him to kill her and stuff. And there is like, that's a good scene. That alone, that scene there shows that she can act. And then you put her in a movie like this, where I don't even know, man. Like, her character is so weird too. You can't, like, what do you even do with that character? She's like a druggie, I guess, because she's popping pills, but she's also partially may or may not be dead throughout the whole movie. Plus, she's like mad at her boyfriend and her best friend macking it up, but at the same time, she's over it and cheering for them in the stands while she's swimming. Like, what is her character supposed to be? What are any of these characters supposed to be, honestly? There's another scene where Matt gets really creepy and he's like, I've been here for you since the act, and all you're doing is thinking about a dead guy. But up until then, he seemed like a genuine guy, and then after that, he seems like a like, what are these characters? What is their personality traits? What is their defining personality? Like, they're all over the place. Cassie is pretty much the same. She's the most stable of all the characters because she's just lost and confused the entire movie. So I mean, that's fine. But everyone else, it's I don't know, man. So yeah, that's my thing. So we need to get Eliza a good movie, like with a solid script. There are still a few I haven't seen that she was in that might be good. I don't know, but we got to get her something because she can act. Just not. No one can act when you have a shit script. That went off on a wild tangent there. Anyway, Soul Survivors. What did I think? Well, it's choppy, it's messy. The idea is neat, I guess. Just the execution was absolutely atrocious. What should you watch it? I would say no. I mean, maybe if you look up the story and like everything that like is supposed to be defined and represented in the film, and you know firsthand what every scene is supposed to mean, and then you watch it again, it might make more sense. But you shouldn't have to do that for a movie. Again, I might just be an idiot though. Like, I will openly admit I might just be too dumb for this movie. Maybe it is a good movie and I'm stupid, but a lot of the reviews tend to agree with my opinion on this one. So let's cut to the chase. What am I going to rate this one? Well, I'm not passing it. I'll give it a 4.5. No, I'll give it a 4.55. It's getting that extra little 5 tacked on the end because when the credits roll, they play Deftones, and I like Deftones. So that's fun. So 4.55, it just didn't do it for me, man. Yeah. We'll go down the bad movie Eliza Dushku rabbit hole at some point. I mean, throughout the run of this series. And you'll understand what I'm talking about. Like, again, it's just really unfortunate that she gets stuck with the roles that she got stuck with, or that she's not chosen for anything better or bigger. But alas, Soul Survivors, don't bother. Unless you're curious to see if it's as stupid and convoluted as everyone else says, or if it's as, like, messed up and incoherent as I'm explaining it to be, then sure, go watch it. But otherwise, I'd say you can just skip this one. There we go. It's out of the way. I don't have to watch it again. So what are we going to do next? Well, I'm not going to pick a movie because the last video I said, oh, I'm doing Soul Survivors next. And then I like delayed recording it for like 2 weeks because I didn't want to watch it. So I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing next because I don't know yet. We'll just go spur of the moment. Anyway, that is all I got. Have a good night.